Okay, so welcome back to my discussion on visual analytics using Power BI. Uh, so this is a new fresh session with some new topics that I'm going to cover today. Uh, so let's start and take this discussion forward. Till now, I have been discussing a lot of topics on the visual levels like drill down, drill through. I've also discussed about how we can just apply the drill through and drill down the bookmarks for storytelling. So, in my previous section, I also discussed about how we can connect uh, to a Google Sheet the data, and we can just bring the data for applying the many-to-many relationship. So today I'm going to discuss corely on the visualization level, the types of visualization. I'll be covering the default visuals that we have in our Power BI desktop and the custom visuals, some of the custom visuals we can work with. So today I'll be working with a lot of visualitic parts, and so this will be a very colorful and creative session where I'll be talking about the types of visuals that are available, the visual segmentations. So let me share my screen and will help you to have a walkthrough on the topics that I'm going to cover today. So let me share my screen. Great. Okay, so the topics today will be corely with visualizations. So we have already worked on some of the basic visuals in our past uh, sessions. In my last sessions, I've discussed about a lot of visuals, and also today we'll be going into the depth of visuals and the types of some of the types of visualization that is available and that we can be used for Power BI reports. So before I go into the types of visualizations, I will talk about visual segments. So after that, I will be start working with some of the visuals like waterfall chart, GAW chart, and funnel charts, tree maps, scatter charts, Kpi visuals, and maps in Power BI desktop. And after that, I'll be working with some custom visuals like dial gauge, sunburst, histogram, in which are available in the Power BI marketplace. We'll be downloading those visuals from there, and we'll be working on those visuals. And after all this particular segment, I'll be starting with how we can apply some securities, a row level security in our data. So I'll show you by applying an example of a row level security in Power BI. And then I will cover the tips of designing a good dashboard. So this is very important because at the end of the day, you need to present your dashboard to the end user and the business owners and the stakeholders. So it's very important that you follow the best practices of designing a dashboard. So what are the things we need to keep in mind? And then I'll be publishing the dashboard to the Power BI services. I will tell you the requirements of publishing your dashboard in a Power BI service. Then I'll be showing you how we can create a custom dashboard from the existing dashboard in Power BI service, where I'll be adding some image text box in your dashboard. I also work on the resizing, renaming, and how we can delete a particular tile from your dashboard. After that, I will show you the steps of printing and displaying the dashboard in a full screen and how we can just make a dashboard a feature dashboard. So I'll try to cover all these topics today. So let's begin and take this discussion to the next level. So let me minimize this particular PPT. Now, talking about visualization. So visualization is nothing but work is a graphical representation of your data in the form of graphs, or you can say pie chart, or you can say histogram or tree map. Now, the most important part that we need to keep in our mind is how we can identify the different segments of visual. Now, it's very important that we understand that what visuals, how this particular visual belongs to which segment. Now, when I talk about visual segment, there are basically 6 types of segments that I work with or that will come across in our future interactions, starting with the composition, distribution, trend, maps, relation, and comparison. So these are the visual segments that is very important that we should keep in mind while working with the visual level. Now, before I show you all these particular segments in detail through an example, let's understand what are the common visuals that we can just categorize under this particular visual segment. Now, if you start with all these particular visual segment are comprises of different types of visual which we can use for drawing the insights from your data. Now, suppose if I talk about composition, the best example of composition is that we have already used earlier is a pie chart or a donut chart, which shows the composition of a data, means the contribution from each of the segment if your data has certain segments. So we can just know the segments for what are the composition and what are the different segments in our data. Now, for example, if I talk about composition means, suppose your data has a 3 product category. So technology, or you can say office supplies or office infrastructure, you can say. So 3 segments can be easily identified. Now, if you want to understand what are the contribution, you can just create a donut chart, which we have already discussed which I have also showed in our previous examples where I have developed a donut chart and while working on the drill through example scenario. The next is distribution. Now, distribution, the best example for distribution I can say is about histogram. I'll show you each of the segments practically. Just to first let me discuss this particular so that you can have a fair idea when I will be showing you the example. So you can just relate, okay, fine, this particular segment belongs to distribution of composition and comparison. So talking about distribution, the best example that we have is histogram. Now, if you take a simple example from a real world, when we need to show a distribution in our data, for example, if you have a mango garden, now you have 10 different types of mangoes, and you want to know what are the different quantities of mangoes from each of the 10 category. So the distribution of the mango in terms of product category can be found out with the help of a histogram. We can also find the, for example, age distribution of a customer. So how many customers are between the age of 21 to 30, or you can say 31 to 40. So distribution of age over a particular data can be shown with the help of a histogram. Now, the next is trend. So the trend is the best way to show you trend is a line graph. So in our example where we have used a combo chart, we have shown the trend of the profit and the sales in terms of a line graph. So in order to show the trend of any data, line graph is a best example, and that comes in this particular visual segment. And after that comes the map. So map is obviously we use map to show the demographic components in our data. Now demographic components can be shown in the in the form of bullets. I will show you all the 3 types of maps that I will be using today to develop. An area map by covering a certain area in your map, or by showing the bullets in your map in terms of certain data like profits over the region, distributed over the region, or on Arcgis map, that means we show the spatial kind of distribution. Like for example, you can say to show a particular area which have a school boundary or a election campaign area. So these are the maps. The spatial maps are very rarely used, yes, but it is a very important map in Power BI. But the more oftenly used maps that we use in Power BI is an a fill map and a bullet map. I'll show you how we can implement this kind of maps. Now the next is relation. Now suppose you want to show the relation between 2 components in your data. For example, how many sales, how much quantity was particularly supplied for this particular amount of sales. To show the relation between sales and quantity, kind of relation between 2 components in your data, we use a relation visual segment. The best example for this particular segment is scatter plot. So we can use a scatter plot for showing the relation in between the data for any 2 kinds of data in our visual. And the next is comparison. Obviously, the best example for comparison can be a bar graph. So we have used a bar graph in our previous examples a lot of times. So by now you can easily compare that. Okay, fine, you can use for comparing any data in terms of the monthly sales or in terms of the quantity supplied region wise or country wise, customer wise. So there are a lot of examples that we can, where we can use the bar graph for comparison. So these are the basic visual segment that I think you need to follow while working with the visual segment part. So for the first is composition, distribution, trend, map, relation, and comparison. Now let's start with the practical example, and we can see some of the visuals that we can develop under these visual segments. So let's start with a waterfall chart. Now, what is a waterfall chart? It's nothing. Don't get so much. There's no such big complications in the chart. This chart actually breaks any component into small categories. For example, if you have a sales component in your data and you have some categories under your sales, you can easily use a waterfall chart to show those category in your data. Now, a waterfall chart is a form of data visualization that understands the data and breaks up into a category. That category may be a positive or negative. It shows the changes not only over the time, but also it shows the relation of the between the components in your data. Now let's build a small waterfall chart and we can just see the changes, or we can just apply the all the segments of visual. I will try to apply all the visual segments through the practical example. So let's start, and let me minimize the screen. Before I do that, let me mark my, okay, that looks good. Now, as we are working with the visualization tool, the BI tool, it's very important that we should know the right visual segments for right data. Now, again, when I'm talking about the right visuals, mean you need to have a good understanding about the business and the data that you are working with. So today I'm going to work on a sales report. So let me connect to that sales report first. And we'll be creating some of the visual basics, the basic visual segments, the visuals out of this data. Now I will try to create a dashboard from this particular example. So instead of showing you individual visuals, I will try to create a dashboard out of it. So in that way, we can just have a constructive example. Instead of showing the different visuals individually, it creates a confusion. So we can just bring create 2-3 dashboard out of these visuals, and we can just take it to the next level after where we can publish this report to the Power BI service. So let me connect to the data. So we'll start with the waterfall chart, and we'll take a simple example, and we can just take it, proceed with the next visuals. So let me select one of the tables from here, and I will load the table directly as I know the data over here. Okay, fine. So I have got some queries where people were been asking me that I'm getting this information in the pop-up window that the data in the preview has been truncated. So guys, over here, it's very important that you should know that only a part of the data is being used as a preview over here, so that you can just walk through your data to see that all the columns and has been properly updated in your Power BI desktop or not. So you can click on load. So let the data get loaded into this Power BI desktop. So waterfall chart is already there in the visualization pane. You can see in the third row, the first visual is a waterfall chart. If you hover your mouse over that particular visual, you will get the name of that particular chart. So we have got this chart over here. So let me show you this particular data set that I have uploaded in the data model, data view part. So we can just check the tables, just have a glance on the tables that okay, fine, all the data and all the tables have been, columns has been uploaded successfully. You can just have a look on your data. So this is the table we have, and we are going to work on the visuals part on this. Both the default visuals and the custom visuals will be taken care by this particular data set. Okay, so let's get back to the report view and start with the first visual. So let me click the waterfall chart. Now let me enlarge this chart a bit. Now you can get this waterfall chart just in the third row. The first visual is a waterfall chart. Now let me show you the breakup of sales in terms of the product subcategory. Now this particular chart has a value section, starts from the field section, starts from category, breakdown, y-axis, tooltip. 4 important fields are there. Now let's start with the order date first. So let me bring the order date over here. Now this order date contains a hierarchy. What I can do, I can use the year hierarchy as of now. So let me remove the other dates for the months, the quarter. Now, as I told you in the definition, let's keep it simple. Waterfall chart helps to break down your total component. In this particular example, I'll be using a sales figure where I'll be breaking that sales figure in terms of product subcategory. So in the breakdown, as I'll be using the product subcategory, I'll bring the product subcategory field in this particular field. Let me minimize this particular filter field so that I can get a proper space over here. And let me bring the product subcategory into the breakdown field. Now we cannot see any changes. Now the moment I bring the sales in the y-axis, you can see that we have got a waterfall chart. So this is the typical waterfall chart that we can build out of this data. Now if you can see clearly over here that each of the sales total has been broken into small pieces. Like in terms of the product subcategory, like office machines, telephone, binders, others, chairs, and bookcases. Now each of the color denotes the performance of each of the product subcategory. Now you can see over here, the red means it has been decreased compared to the previous sale. The sale has changes, and the green means there's an increase, and other means that means there is a neutral difference between that. So we can see how this particular chart looks like a waterfall, and for each of the year total we have the breakup for that particular year sales. Now you can also play around this particular chart. So as I have seen, as you can see that I have used 3 important components. The first is the order date, so that I can show that sales, the total sales in terms of year, where the year component has been used, and we have broke down that year component in terms of, so we have used that year component to the sales. We have used the sales component to show in terms of year, and we have broke the sales component in terms of product subcategory. And we have got this waterfall chart as a result of breaking that particular. Now let me format this chart, and you can just change this chart as per your wish. You can just go to the y-axis and you can just change the position of the y-axis from left to right, as I showed you earlier in the format section. You can just play around with this, and we can just uh, check the other options like x-axis. You can just change the x-axis color, where you can just what you can do, you can just format or edit these particular figures over here. You can just increase the text size if it's not visible properly. So you can just have a look that for each year the product subcategories has been properly lined up. Now let me show you what other things I can do that with this particular chart. So let me give a border, which I always prefer to have. Now you can change these colors. Sentiment colors is the option through which you can change all these colors, the breakdown colors over here. So let me give a color to this particular options. For decrease, I can have a different color. For increase, I can change the color from here. And for the other colors, we can have this one. And for the total, let's have a different color like a gray. So you can just change this chart, the colors, you can just format it, and you can see how we can just broke the year sales in terms of the product subcategory using this particular chart. So this was a simple waterfall chart that I used for showing the product subcategory and the performance, whether it has increased or decreased in terms of the sales. Now the increase decrease has been denoted with the help of this color bullets. So this was a waterfall chart. The next chart that I'm going to show you is, let me show you the, so let me arrange this chart over here, and you can just, so that I can create a dashboard out of it, a simple dashboard. Now the next chart that I'm going to show you is a gauge card. Now a gauge card is used to compare the actuals made against the maximum target and what is the minimum target that you should achieve. It's just like a speedometer, you can say. So there are two kinds of gauge chart. One, I will show you the default one, which is available over here. The other, the custom one that we can download from the marketplace and we can use it. Now let me click. This particular gauge chart is available in the fourth row, the third visual. So you can see it's written over gauge. So you can just click on this particular visual, and let me bring this visual over here so that I can just create a gauge chart out of it. Now this particular gauge chart has, as I told you, that it is used for comparing the actuals against the target. So this particular gauge chart has fields like value, minimum value, maximum value, target value. Now suppose in this particular data set we have the sales, that is, we can just bring the sales over here as a value because we have the sales value with us. So we can see the sales value has been shown over here. Now by default, the maximum target for this particular sales is double of the sales figure. However, you have an option to change this particular target value and the maximum value that we need to achieve. If suppose this particular target value is not available in your data, what you can do, if it is available in data, you can just drag the target value in the target field or the maximum value in the maximum field. Now, if it is not there, what you can do, you can go to this particular format section, and in the first option, you can see gauge axis. So the gauge axis, we can just set the maximum and the target value. So let me set this target value 15 million. Okay, fine. Let me, sorry. sorry, let me set the maximum value to 15, and the target value we can set it to 12 million. Now we can see as this GAU chart, let me highlight this particular chart. So we can see that the sales that we have made for this particular data is 8.9 million, whereas our maximum value was the 15 million and our target was actually 12 million. So we can easily predict that the sales was less than the target. So the target was not met. So every sales figure has a target value, so which we have to achieve, and a maximum value that we can go for that. So for over this chart, we can see that the sales value has been to 8.9 million, which is less than the target. So we have manually given a target over here. If you know the target, in your case, the target and the maximum, because a lot of sales report don't show you the targets or the targets that are the maximum value that you need to reach. So as a business analyst or the business owner, yeah, you get to know that, okay, fine, this is the target for this month that we have to achieve. And then you can just manually input those targets over here. Now, we can also format this chart. We can just get a color for this, and we can just set the color for this. And this is a typical GAU chart which we can use for showing the target and showing the actual saying the targets and the maximum value. So this is also a very important visual in terms of showing you the, what you can say, the composition part, we can say, where we can see the contribution of sales in the whole area of 15 million, and what is the total contribution of sales that we have got for this particular period. So this is the second chart that we need to I want to discuss you today as an example of the visuals, the GAU card or the GAU chart, you can say. The third chart that I want to show you is a funnel chart. So this is also a type of a chart which will show you the breakdown of all the contribution of all the components in getting the actual results. Now this particular chart is available in the third row, the second chart. In the visualization pane, if you come to the third row and the second chart from the left, you can just find the funnel chart over here. So let me select this chart. So let me click on the blank area and select this funnel chart. And let me show you what are the contributions were made in terms of sales by using the product. Let me show you the product category first, and then I can just change it to product subcategory. So we have 3 product category. So let me bring the product category in the group field and the sales in the value field. So we can see that all the 3 product categories, the contribution made by each of the category has been showed up here in the form of a funnel. So funnel chart shows the breakup of all the total sales by showing the contribution from each of the category. The top notch is the 100% because it shows the maximum level of contribution, and the lowest is as per the contribution that it has made to the total sales. So it's a funnel chart because it shows it is in the shape of a funnel. Now you can increase this category. If suppose I replace this particular product category with product subcategory, so we can have a more drill down of each of the product subcategory items in terms of their contribution made. So this looks a perfect funnel chart, right? So we can use this kind of funnel chart. We can, if you want to remove this particular legends from here, you can just go to the format section and you can just you can just disable the category to get a full page look of this particular funnel chart. You can just go to this format option over here and you can just select the category. You can disable the category from here, and you can also change the colors as per your choice. You can just set it the color, and this is your funnel chart which shows actually the contribution of each of the product category in terms of the what you can say, value that they have brought to this particular sales report. So let me go back, click on this back to report, and you can just click add a border to this, and we can just make it a bit, you can just resize it as per your wish. So we have seen that how we are using all the available charts in this visualization pane for showing the different categories of our sales report, and we can just use the use different charts for showing the values of showing the insights in a different way using by different visuals. The next chart that I'm going to work with is a tree map. Now you guys are all aware of the tree map. So it's also a typical example of a, you can say, a composition where we can see the contribution for each of the sectors made by sectors that have been contributed in getting the total sales figure for the particular period. Now let me drag this chart, as tree map will take a bit space in your chart, and I can just reduce this space a bit. What I can do, I can just bring it down over here and select the tree map. Now the tree map is available in the third row in the extreme right. The last chart in your third row is a tree map. You can click on this map and you can just see there in the group section, I can bring the categories that I want to show. So for example, let me bring the product subcategory again over here, and this time let me show you the profits in terms of value. Now you can see that the profit has been visualized in terms of the in the form of a tree map. Now each of the size of this particular map area shows the volume of contribution. The larger the profit, the larger will be the size of each of the area in this particular tree map. The smaller is the size, the smaller is the profit. Now if I hover my mouse on this particular, the last cell, let me enlarge it for you. Yeah. Now if I hover my mouse over this particular area, you can see the profit is less compared to this particular area. So over there the profit is 2,97,000, and over here the profit is only 8,000. So each of the area, the size of this particular area or the box in this particular tree map shows the contribution. The bigger the contribution, the bigger the size of this particular area will be. Now we can just change these colors for our, as per our wish. We can just go and just change the color. We'll get all the color options over here in the format section under the data colors. We can choose to enable and disable the legends. So if you want to show your legends in your data, you can see all the areas that we have used over here can be shown. However, they are also available over in the each of the box has been labeled with the product subcategory and the feature and the components of product subcategory in terms of each of the box. So let me disable this legend over here. Now what other things I can do over here? Okay, let me open this border. I can work with the categories. Good, category doesn't need any change. Fine, I don't think so there's any other requirement that we can do with this chart. We can also show some more information, extra information, like apart from, if you can see the profit, if you want to see the sales also, what I can do, I can just bring the sales over in the tooltip. Now if I hover my mouse over here, you can see the sales and the profit both for each of the section of this particular chart. Now it will be easy for you to compare. Okay, fine, for this much of sales, this was the profit. Now if I come down over here, we can see the sales over here was 5 lakh, but the profit is only 8,000. So we can have a prior idea, we can have an overview of the distribution of the profit and sales in our data in terms of the product subcategory. So this is a typical example of a, I can say, compositions chart where tree map can be used for showing the different contribution. Now let me go back to the report and make it over here a bit precisely. So I'm slowly building a dashboard for you. However, I'll be using this dashboard in the Power BI service. And I will show you one very important feature, what we can do with this dashboard in Power BI service. That is an amazing feature in Power BI service. So I will show you once I will publish this dashboard. Now the next chart category that I will work with a scatter chart. Now this is a very interesting chart and it's one of my favorite chart also, because being a storyteller, scatterplot plays a very important role. This is also one of the visuals which you can use for telling story. How? Let me show you that. So let me first, what I can do, I can just use this. I want to use this blank area. So what I can do that, because scatter chart will take a huge space. It takes some space in your dashboard. And I want to explain it to you in a better way. So that's why, okay, fine. Let me leave this area blank and go to a new page. So let me name this page as a dashboard. One. So in dashboard one, we have 4 visuals like the waterfall chart, funnel chart, GOT chart, and the tree map. Now you can groom this chart by changing the titles, and also I hope you by now you know how to format your titles and how can highlight your title. So for your, I leave it to you to explore these particular titles. You can just click and make your dashboard more and more attractive as per your convenience. So let me go back to the next example and show you how I can develop a scatter chart from the available visuals that we have. So let me name this particular chart as what happened? Dashboard 2. Now the scatter chart is available in the third row, third from the right. Now this scatter chart is a very interesting chart. It actually gives you a lot of flexibility to play around with your data. Now let me make this chart a bit bigger. Now the scenario that I'm going to show you, I'll also explain how I can use this chart for a bit of storytelling out of my data. So a section of your information, if you report, you can use this particular chart. For example, uh, I'll show you the sales in terms of quantity and profit. So let me bring the sales in the x-axis, the quantity in the y-axis, and let me bring the product subcategory into the details. So this particular chart contains the field like details, legend, x-axis, y-axis, size, and play axis. Now, let me use this size to show the profit in terms of sales and quantity. Now, you will see how this particular scatter chart changes its features the moment I bring the profit into the size. In the size field. It's got stuck. Just a minute. Shit. Just a minute, guys. It got stuck over here. Just a minute, guys. It got stuck. Let me fix it. Again, the same problem. Just allow me a few minutes, guys. Let me fix it. Okay, welcome back. So again, there was an issue. Sorry. So my system is going through a bad phase, and due to this lockdown, I guess I'm every time I face some issues. Thanks for being there, staying with me, guys. Let me show you this example from the beginning. Uh, so let me collect this data again. So I have to do a hard stop for this particular app. So let me connect to this data once more. So I have also lost the previous visuals that I developed. Anyways, I will just create it once more later. Let me show you this example first, because this is most important. We have already can see that thing in the recording part. So let me show you this scatter plot. Now I will be doing some modification in my data in working in this particular scatter plot. So it's very important that you can just have a look, follow the steps properly that I'm doing over here. Just allow the data to get load. Power BI desktop. Okay, fine. So we have this data and we'll be using a scatter plot for showing the relationship between sales and quantity in terms of year. Now let me select the scatter plot, scatter chart over here, and let me make it big for you. Now this particular scatter chart takes a lot of values like values in the form of x-axis, y-axis, size, and we'll be showing you the details where in terms of which category we can just show the relation between sales and quantity. So let's start. Let me bring this product subcategory in the detail part. And the sales, I can just use it in the x-axis. And the quantity in the y-axis. Now, I have shown you the sales and quantity in terms of X and Y. Now, what happens if I bring the profit in the size field? So if I bring the profit, you can see the size of this particular dots has been increased in terms of the profit made by each of the section. Now, this particular each of the dot actually shows you the sales and the quantity for that particular section of the chart. So how much sales has been made and how much profit has been, how much quantity has been supplied for that particular sales value has been shown in the form of the dots in your chart. And the profit shows the size for each of the dots. So the smaller the dot is, the less the profit is. See, if I hover my mouse over here, the sales was 10 lakhs and the quantity supplied was 5187 numbers, but the profit is minus 72,000. That's why the size of this particular dot is small compared to the sales made, where 11 lakh sales was made and the profit was 2 lakhs and quantity was supplied like 14,284. So we can find that for 14,284 quantities, the sales was made at 11 lakhs and the profit was 2 lakh 97. So we can compare, we can get three important information from this particular chart. Now, what the main idea is how we can just tell a story from this particular chart. Now, suppose I want to show you the year on year plot in terms of the sales and quantity. So we can see that we have a play axis over here. This play axis is a very beautiful option over here. So this gives this chart as a kind of you can say a motion play where it will be showing you the transition from year on year. So let me bring the year column over here, and then I can show you in detail how I can use it. So we can see that we don't have an year column over here. So what we can do, we can just create a year column in our data. So as we know, we can just create columns in our data. So we can just go back to this data view over here. And how can we create the year over here? We have the order date over here, correct? So we can format this order date in terms of year. So let me create a new column, right click on the column name. So we don't have an year column in our chart, so we need to create one. So these are all the things that I want you guys to focus on this, how we can just get the information which is not over here. So we have the order date column over here. However, we can extract the year from that order date. So for that, we can just right click on the table name, click on new column. Excuse me, guys. And name this column as year. And we'll use a format function on the order date comma, and we can just use a double quotes and take out the year in 4. We can just use this capital Y format to take out the year in a number format, and there will be 4 alphabet in that year. So you can just close this bracket and you can press enter, and you will be see that the year will be extracted from the order date column. So we can see the year column has been created. A new column has been created in the data which contains the year which has been extracted from the order date. So we got 2010, 11, 12, 13. 4 years of data is available in this particular data set. So you can click OK, and we can go back to this report, and we can bring this, we can select this particular scatter plot chart, and we can bring the year column into the play axis. Now, the moment I bring the year column over here, we will get a play axis in the below of the chart. So let me enlarge this chart, and you can see there's a play axis that has been created the moment I bring the year component in the play axis. So there's a play button over here at the extreme left hand side corner below. If you play this button, you can see that it starts from 2010, 2012, 2013. So all the 4 years data you can just see with the click of a play button. So you can see how this chart is changing for each year. Now you can show each of the sections of this chart individually. For example, if you click on this bar, this is a long play bar, progress bar that is created. Now for 2010, I can see the sales in terms of the quantity made. Now if I click on 2011, so you can see for 2000, I have a specific state of this chart where you can see the sales and quantity and the profit. Now if I click on this 2012 progress bar, so for 2012 we can see there's a different state of this chart, and for 2013 we have a different state of this chart. So this chart can be a very beautiful visual, very important visual in terms of showing stories in your data. So you can use this chart. You can also play around with the format option, where you can just change the colors, default colors from one state to another. You can just change around this color chart option. You can just change the color of your chart, and you can just create the beautiful visualization out of this particular scatter plot chart in terms of sales and quantity, and you can show the relation between sales and quantity. Now, what if you have to show a particular scenario? Now, let me give you a scenario. Now suppose I want to know how much quantity was supplied and what is the total profit when the sale was more than equal to 2,50,000 and the quantity was more than 3,000. Now there's a scenario. How can you use this chart for showing a particular scenario? Now suppose you have to focus, or not focused, you have to show, okay fine, during 2013 or 2012, 11, when the sale was, when we got a sale of 2,50,000, how much, and the quantity was more than equal to 3,000, what was the profit? So we can use a beautiful concept of a line concept, where you can draw a reference line in your scatter chart. How we can draw the reference line? Till now we were using these two options, the field option and the format option. Now for the first time I will show you how we can use the third option. There's a third option over here, analytics. You can click on this option and you can see there's two options over here, x-axis constant line and y-axis constant line. Now the scenario that you are working, that where we have to show the sales, when what was the profit when the sale was more than equal to 2,50,000 and the quantity was more than equal to 3,000. So what I can do, I can draw a constant line at 250,000 over here and 3,000 over in the quantity value, which is in the y-axis. So for the x-axis, we click on this downward arrow and there's an option over here called add. Click on add and you can add the values over here. So for x-axis, the sales should be 2,50,000. So you can see there's a constant line that has been created over. Let me make this line a bit dark so that you can see it. You can reduce the transparency, and you can also work with the line style also. So you can use a dashed line or a solid line or a dotted line. So let me use a solid line so that you can clearly see. So I have drawn a constant line at 2,50,000 in the x-axis, and in the y-axis the quantity value should be 3,000. So let me add 3,000 over here. This part is really disturbing. And let me change this line color, and let me make it dotted. Now, so we have got two constant line at the two different point axes. One is in the x-axis showing the sales when the sale is more than equal to 2,50,000, and when the quantity is 3,000. What was the profit? So we can see we have earned a profit from binders and accessories, and a profit from the product subcategories like telephone and communication. The rest of the product subcategory was under this particular value. So this particular quadrant is showing that the product category binders and telephone and communication has given us a good profit in the year 2013. Now, what if I change the year? In 2010, I didn't receive any profit in this particular quadrant. Whatever profit was earned, a profit was where the supply has increased from 3,000. We got a profit of 7,000 from the paper subcategory. But over here, there is no such major profit that we have seen. What happens when we change this year to 2011? Still, we are having no profit. A bit of profit has been achieved by the telephone and communication. What happens if the year changes to 2013? Same, 2012, sorry. So we can see the profit has been minimum from telephone and communication, but things got improved in 2013, where we are able to see that the profit was good from two product categories, subcategories, which actually made their way to this particular quadrant, where the sales and quantity both were high. So we had a good amount of sales in terms of this two product subcategory for the year 2013. So you can now see how this scatter plot is so useful in terms of showing certain multiple information in terms of certain business scenarios, and where you can use this particular chart for a way of capturing the state, a particular state of your data in terms of year, or in terms of profit, or in terms of any other component. So this was a scatter chart that I wanted to show you. The next example that I will show you. So let me minimize this particular chart. And let me give a border to it so that I can just easily create a dashboard over here. Okay, fine. That looks good. Now the next chart that I'm going to work on. Let me show you the next chart that I'm going to work with. Is a Kpi visual. Now this Kpi visual is also kind of a, you can say, where you can just You can just check the target, the actuals that you have received against the target. Now, what we can see in our products, in our table, there is no target data over here. So let us create a target data, and just for an understanding, we can implement the target against the sales that we have achieved. So let me create a target. Again, I will go back to this model view, data view over here, and let me create a column for target. So generally the target is always the target we have seen that is more than the sales. So what we can do, we can just simply create a target for this example, and you can see how we can implement the KPI visuals. So right click on this table name, click on new column. And let us name this column as target. Sorry, I got missed. Click on new column. Change this name as target equals to order sales into 1.5. So let me increase it by 1.5 value. So I will get a target value for each of the sales. So as I have increased the 1.5% for each of the sales, 1.5% for each of the sales component, and we have created a column of target. So now we have a target column over here. Now let's use this. So the idea is just how we can use a KPI visuals to compare the sales with the target value. So let me go back to this particular visual and select a KPI visual for here. So KPI is available in the fourth row, the last extreme right, you can get a KPI chart. So click on this KPI value, bring this chart over here. Let me enlarge this chart a bit. And bring the sales the year, the target and the year. So let me show you the year from here. Okay, fine. So I have changed the order date into year. Now we can see that against the sale value. So this value can be changed, guys. So don't go by this value. This value might be differ as per the target. So against the goal of 4.28 million, let me increase this goal feature over here. The goal font. So against the goal of 4,28 million, we have achieved 2.85 million, which is less, 33% less than the target. So we are using a KPI visual by showing the target against the goal that we achieved using the trend. So this trend is showing us that there's a fall in the target level compared to the goal. Now if I come over here, I am using the trend axis, the order date as a trend axis over here, and you're using the year from here, particular date, order date, for comparing the sales and the target. So you can also use a card value over here where you can show the total sales over here, like I have used my previous example. You can use a card value, you can use the total target value as a card. So card can be a good option for showing the actual total sales and the total cost or the total target that we have in our chart. So these are all we can use for showing the total value that we can achieve from this particular sales report. So I can just set it this particular KPI chart, and you can use a border for this, and I can just set this KPI chart over here. Let me name this page over here as a dashboard. Two. So I'll create the dashboard one once more because I lost it because this app got stuck. Okay. The next visual that I'm going to use maps. So map is a very interesting feature in Power BI. So let me use this area for map. Let me shift this particular visual over here. Now we'll start with there are three types of maps that are available in Power BI. Now, Power BI has what has Power BI has done? Power BI has integrated with the Microsoft Bing for using its mapping features, where it gets all the map components from the Bing browser, which is the Bing product that is owned by Microsoft. So whatever data that we are going to be populated by the map, it will be using that Bing product from Microsoft to show you the geographical details for each of the geographical value or the geographical uh, properties that you are going to use for creating that map. So there are three kinds of maps in Power BI. The first is a dot map. I will show you how I can use this simple map. This is the area map, and the third is the ArcGIS map. So the most commonly used map that we do is mainly for bubble and the field map. So let me show you how I can start. Let me start with using the bubble map first, and then I can just show you the other maps simultaneously. So click on this map over here. So this map is available in the fourth row. The first map visual is the bubble map. So let me, by mistake, I've selected this chart. Let me click on this blank area and select this particular map, first map. Now, in this particular map, there is a location where you can bring the region, or we can bring the country, state. There are legends you can bring in terms of profit or sales. Any legend you can use in your map. Now, if you have a specific longitude and latitude in your data, you can just update that specific latitude, longitude options over here in this field. And in the size option, you can just show the numerical values, like I'll show you now. If I use a state and provinces in the location, you can see there's some bubbles that has been, some dot that has been created. Some dot has been created as per the state, and it is by default taken the required country and continent as per the name of the states that is available in your data. Now, what if I bring the profit into the size field? You can see the dots, the size of the dot has changed. Some have become big, and some are smaller compared to the other dot. So the more the profit is, the bigger the size of the dot will be in your map. Excuse me. So this is a typical example of you can say a bubble map or a dot map, where you can use the features, the geographical properties, that is the geographical data that is available in your data, to showcase the sales or the profit or any other value that is available in terms of total cost or quantity supplied. You can use this particular map for this for showing all those values. The next map is a field map. So let me minimize this map. I can enlarge this map over here. And let me take you to the new page where I can show you the field map. Let me name this page as dashboard. Three. Now let me bring this field map over here. Now same, as this is a map, it will take some geographical value. So what I can do, I can bring the sales and state and provinces in the location. And in the legend part, let me bring you the sales. Now you can see that in the previous map, the profit was shown in the form of dot, but over here, the sales, or you can also bring the profit, will be shown in a form of a filled area for each of the state. So in the previous map that I used, over here, this particular value of profit was shown in the form of dot. So each of the dot was representing the profit for each of the state. But over in the field map, what you can see, each of the state has been showing in a form of a field area. So each of the area of state has been covered with a different color pattern showing the profit for that state. What if I can change this to normal? So there can be a lot of map styles that you can implement. So I always try to use the dark option, the dark theme of the map for this particular area map. Let me show you how can how can I change this particular theme of this map. So what you can do in order to change the map style, let me go to this map style, and there is an option over a theme. From this theme option, you can select the dark theme, and you can just convert the appearance of your map from the normal theme to a next theme. So I basically prefer this kind of theme for a field map because it actually helps you to show the field area, highlight the field area, comparing by graying out or by making the background of that particular map as a dark. So it looks more prominent, and it will easy for you to interface, because sometimes what happens, the colors of the map tends to get uh, what you can imagine, tends to get mixed with the background, other states and other color, the background map or the base color of the map, you can say. So I always try to use a dark theme for this kind of map. It's helped me to understand the colors and the other information that I need from this particular map. So this is the field map that we can use, and we can just use this map for showing various information in terms of the area. So it fills the area for that particular map. So now you have two maps where one you can use for showing the values in terms of dots, and other you can show the value in terms of a field area. The next map that I'm going to show you, let me make this report a bit small. Let me give a border. Okay, the next map that I'm going to show you is a Arcgis map. So this is a map which is basically is used to show you those kind of data, like special geographical components, like a spatial file. There's a spatial file is a kind of a file which contains some special geographical data in terms of the school or departmental store, which are not available in the normal maps. So you can use a spatial file to connect with the ArcGIS map, and you can use that map. Let me show you how we can implement. This will look like a normal map only. But this map is very handy for those kind of data where we need to show some special informations like the election area where the election can be held, which area has a school specifically, which area is coming under a government district. So these are some special geographical properties that are not available in a normal map. So we can use this particular map for showing those kind of properties. However, I'll be using normal features to show this map, but you can easily connect to a spatial file for this map and you can show that particular kind of area. So this map will automatically help you to generate those kind of properties in your data. So let me show you. So this also takes the state and provinces location over here. Let me bring the profit in terms of size over here. Just a minute, guys, got again stuck. Profit. Let me bring the state and provinces and the sales in the size field. So the map is getting updated. Just allow some time. So if I can enlarge this map for you, so you can see this map is getting updated. You have to, let us give some time. Okay, so we can see, so there is not much difference because this particular data set is not having some spatial data. So what we can see that each of the area of this map has been created with a boundary. For each of the state we have a separate boundary we can see. So these are the special areas that this particular map helps us to highlight. So in the area map what we were using in the earlier, we can see this was separated in terms of color, but over here in this particular map we can see for each of the area it has been separated with a boundary for which separates it, which separate that particular area with the other part of the map. Now if this particular data would have contained some data like a school boundary in terms of longitude and latitude, so that particular data will be easily be available. We could have viewed that data over here in this over this particular map. So these were the types of map that you can use, but out of this map, out of this three map, the most commonly used map is a field map and a bubble map or a dotted map, you can say. You can easily use this map to show your data, to show the demographic properties or demographic insights of your data using the map feature in your Power BI desktop. So let me, this was all about map. The next section that I'm going to discuss is about the custom visuals. Now, what a custom visual. So last session, I gave you a glance of the, I don't know how many people were there. So there was in the question answer round, I showed you that how we can download a custom visual from the marketplace. However, I will repeat that thing once more. I will show you once more. The most important thing before you start working with the custom visual, that for downloading the visual from the marketplace, you need to have your user ID. So the organizational user ID that you have used for logging into Power BI desktop, the same ID you need to use for downloading the custom visual from the marketplace. Now, from where we can download the custom visual to our Power BI desktop. So let me take you to a new page. Let me name this page as a custom visuals. Now, in your visualization pane, let me expand this area to show you. In your visualization pane, you can see at the last of the visualization, there are 3 dots. If I click on these 3 dots, you will get an option like import from app source, import from file, remove visual, restore default visual. In the import from app source, if you click, you will be taken to the Power BI marketplace where you can find a lot of custom visuals which are not available in the default visualization pane that we have in this particular app. However, you will be finding a lot of visuals which are similar to this particular visuals that we have, but some visuals you can download it from here and you can use them as a normal visuals. So this is the marketplace. This is the window that will open. And over here you can see this particular marketplace over here, and you will find a good collection of the custom visuals that we have over here. So I will request you guys just to explore this particular marketplace. However, I will show you some of the visuals which I will download from here, and I can use those visuals for your as a normal visuals that are available over here. Now, this particular marketplace have certain categories of visuals. So in the all section, you can find all the visuals that is available. You can just go through, like we can find a heat map over here. We can find a bullet chart. We can also find some of the visuals that we're working over here, like a scatter chart that I've showed you. Let me show you a scatter chart. So type your name in the search box and you can press enter, and you can get a amount of scatter chart over here. So this is also a line dot chart kind of scatter chart. You can use it. So it depends on the scenario that you are using over here. So this is spline chart. So there are a lot of third-party visuals you can easily find over here in this marketplace. So you can find the name of the developer sometimes associated with this particular visuals. And out of these categories like advanced analytics, you have a special some collection of visuals. Under data visualization, we'll be have a huge collection of visuals over here. Like editor's pick, we'll have some visuals. For gauge that I was being used, which I was using in the default visual, there are visuals over here. Now there are certain visuals which are Power BI certified in this marketplace. If you come down, if you click on this option Power BI certified, so these are the visuals which are certified by Power BI. We can use these visuals in our, so these visuals have are mostly widely used visuals that we can use as per the business scenario, and Power BI actually has given this kind of visualization the, what I can say, the authentication or the preference that we can use these visuals as Power BI has certified these visuals. So the other visuals we can see are developed by third parties. As this is a marketplace like a Google marketplace, they have developed and they have released their product over here. So you can use this particular marketplace to search for maximum custom visuals, and you can download that visual. Now let me show you how I can download a custom visual and work on that. Now, let me download a dial gauge for this particular example. So this particular visual is like a speedometer, which will show, which will be helpful in showing you the actual target and what was the target last year that we have achieved. So this visual will be useful for showing, for comparing the the KPI value, that the target that we have achieved, the target that we could have achieved, and the last year target. So what happened? What we have need to do? You need to type this visual over here and this click on this add option in the marketplace. So once you click on this add option, you will get a pop-up message that this particular custom visual has been added to your list of visualization. Now you can see there's a pop-up message that the visual was successfully imported into this report. So you can click OK, and you can see. Let me show you. So you can see there is a visual, the custom visual has been successfully installed or successfully updated in this particular section. Just below your visualization pane, you can see that the custom visual, there is a sign of a speedometer over here where this visual has been what you can then has been downloaded and has been installed over here. See if I can minimize this section over here. So you can see this present over here. Now let me click on this visual and show you how I can use this visual for showing how I can use this particular visual comparing the target, the actual that I have achieved and the actual that I could have achieved. So what I can do, I can just for this particular example, let me create a small data for you. So how we can create a small data? So you can go to this home section. What happened? Okay, yeah, it's working. So you go to the home section. In the home section, you have an option over here under the home menu, enter data. So let me create a data set for you, a small data set, so that I can show you the implementation of this dial gauge custom visual in our in this particular report. So I'm taking a different example. So let me show you build a small data where I will be using the actual value. Let me give this value as 165. The last year value. So let me give it as 155, 150, I guess. 150, yeah, 150 seems good. The maximum value that we can reach is 50. Like this maximum value as 200. And satisfactory, let's keep it 75. The difference, keep it 0.91, 0.91. So I've created a sample data. So I'll use this particular data in the dial gauge, what I'm doing over here. So let's name this table as process data. And let me load this table into my report. So we have created a table which contains data in terms of the actual value, last year value. So I'm taking this example just to show you the uses of a dial gauge, how the dial gauge helps you to understand the value and compare the actual value with the last year value, or comparing the actual result with the how much result we could have achieved and what is the maximum result that we could have achieved over here. So we have the dial gauge chart over here. Now what you can do, so this particular table contains the value in terms of the actual value, last year value, difference, maximum value, and the satisfactory value. So let's start with the maximum value. So the maximum value that we have used for this particular example is 200. So let me bring this maximum value into the max field. So I've tried to keep the same name so that it can easy for you to understand that which field for using this particular value. So I brought the actual max value to the maximum field. So the moment I brought it, you can see this particular chart has taken a shape of a speedometer, where showing the actual value in the form of a dial. Now let me bring the actual value against the maximum value. So the actual value was 165. Now this particular value will be used in the pointer value, because this pointer is the area which shows the what is the achievement against the maximum value. So the moment I drag this actual value in the pointer value, you can see the pointer has changed its place from the minimum value to the value that has been assigned to it, that is 165. Now the satisfactory value was 75. So let me bring the 75 in the actual end. So 75 was a actual end. You can the satisfactory value, that 75 was okay, fine. 75 is adorable and it can be acceptable. And last year value will be in the target end. So this will show me the last year value. So last year we ended up at this point. This was the satisfactory mark, and this year we have achieved 165. And the difference can be easily kept in the percentage field. So the difference between last year and the amount that we have here can be shown in the percentage field. So we can see that with this particular example, how we have created a custom chart which shows you the actual value compared with the last year value and the maximum and the satisfactory value in terms of our dial gauge. So this particular pointer is pointing to the actual value that you have achieved against the maximum value of 200, comparing with the last year value of 150 and keeping behind the satisfactory, leaving behind the satisfactory value of 75. So this result actually shows you a satisfactory insight that okay, fine, we have able to achieve we have able to cross all the marks or all the targets that were being set by the particular business process or the company, and we are standing over here now. So this was a typical example of a you can say a custom visual which we can easily download, and you can use those visuals for showing we can use those visuals as same way that we are using the default visuals that we have in the visualization pane. The next custom visual that I'm going to work on is a sunburst. This is also a very interesting visual. So let me minimize this particular visual over here, and let me keep this visual. I place this visual over here and make me a border for that. Now the next visual that I'm going to download is a sunburst. So it is already maintained in the PowerPoint that the next visual will be the sunburst. Now sunburst is also a type of a sunburst. Yeah, fine. Is a type of you can say a pie chart or a composition chart which shows you the layers of contribution made by each of the components of of your report in terms of any actual result like sales, profit, total cost. Let me show you how we can use a Sunburst chart for comparing the result or for knowing the percentage of contribution from each of the area in your sales report. Now again, I will go to this particular area of, I will click on this particular area, these three dots, and click on import from app source. Now over in the search box, we'll be writing the custom visual name, that is Sunburst, and press enter. So you can see the Sunburst visual is a multi-level donut chart for effective visualization. The definition states. So it's a kind of a donut chart, but we can add layers to this particular visual. So let me click on add and add this particular custom visual to my data set or to my visual pen and click on OK. Now let me select this particular Sunburst from here and let me bring this and highlight this. So this is also a multi-layered donut chart which will help us to understand the categorical details in terms of layers. How we can create layers? So we can just use this particular table for this. And let me bring the region first. Now you will see the moment I add more values to the groups, it will create a layer in this particular chart. And the sales. So we can see this normal donut chart that is already available over here. Now what happens if I add a product category to the region? So you can see there's one more layer that has been created over just above the region donut chart that was earlier there. So now for each of the region, we know the sales for each of the category if you hover our mouse on that particular categories. Now what happens if I add one more layer? For example, the product subcategory. See, it adds one more layer to your donut chart. Now you can see from, if you consider any particular region south, we can just go to the next level to see the product category and to the next level to see the product subcategories in terms of the sales. You can also format the colors over here as usual. You can just try out with the colors over here. You can just change the titles. All the formatting options that are available over here are same as the default visuals that we have in our visualization pane, the default visuals that are given by Power BI desktop. So we can see how we can use a custom visual, same like a normal visuals, and we can get more information from our data in terms of different visuals that we can use. The next visual that I'm going to show you is a histogram. Now, as I mentioned, histogram, the definition, it shows the distribution of your data, any particular component of your data over your data set. So let me use a histogram. Histogram is also a custom visual. So we can also download a histogram from the marketplace. Let me place this particular chart over here. Let me give a border to this particular chart. Okay, fine. So the next visual is a histogram. So again, I will go to this particular area, click on import. And once more, I'm telling you guys, you need to have your organizational or business ID to access the marketplace. You need to log into your Power BI, and only then with a business mail ID, and only then you can access this marketplace. Excuse me. So let me write the name of the visual over here, that is histogram. And search. So you have a histogram chart which visualize the distribution of data over a continuous interval or a certain time period, as the definition states. So we can just select this chart. You can also go to the details and add from here, or you can just directly add from that particular option also. So let me click on add and add this histogram to our data set. Now I'll be using a very simple example where a customer age in terms of the customer name, where we can see how many customers are been between each of the customer falls in the different customer age. So we can just click this particular histogram, and let me adjust this. Let me select this chart. And let me bring the customer age into the value and the customer name in the frequency. So we can see the distribution of the age in terms of the customers, number of customers that we have. So we have the frequency over here and the bin. These are called bin. So the bin starts from 21, as the age mentioned in the column starts from 21 and ends at 75. However, you can just edit this axis over here, and you can just go to format and click on X axis, and you can just change the display the intervals over here from the X axis. You can just remove the decimal point from here and make it to 0. It's not changing. Shit. Okay, so I made it to 0, so we can see the numbers from the bin size from 21 to 31, 40 to 50, and like this, so on. So this particular data set contains the age starts from 21 to 79. The same way we can also do the same thing from the Y axis. Remove the 0. Select none from the display unit and change it to 0. Fine. So this is a typical example. However, I'll be showing you some good examples of histogram in the future discussions, where I'll be showing you the distribution of certain data over your data report. Now it's very important. The idea behind this example is to how we can use this particular histogram for showing the distribution. Now going back to the visual segments that I discussed. So each of the examples that I have discussed today in terms of the visuals belong to certain segments. Now you need to identify for which business scenario we have to use which visual segment, so that we can just easily, or we can just have the correct information from our data set in terms, because as we are working in the field of visual analytics, understanding the visual segment is very important. Once we are done with the data management part, so after your data transformation and data management, because visual is the end of your reporting, because visual is the first point of contact where the end user will communicate with you. The end user or the business owners are not interested in the calculations or the transformations or the modeling that you have done in data. He's least bothered about that. He needs to understand your visuals very clearly. So you need to be very clear while choosing the correct visual segments, because if you're choosing a wrong visual segment showing insights that is irrelevant, then it may create a disaster, because in that case sometimes the decision the decision taken on the basis of that particular insight can be a wrong decision and being a disaster into a business, so it may lead to a lot of loss. So understanding the visual segment, let me take back to you that particular slide. Understanding the visual segments in terms of what I can say, the comparison, the composition. So these all things are very important. You should keep in your mind while selecting the correct visual after you're done with the data management part. So you need to know when to use a composition, when to use maps, when to use a trend, relation, comparison, distribution. So it all starts with understanding the business. It all starts with understanding the data. Now that we have done with the visualization part, we have done all the, I have taken small examples, simple examples to make you understand the use of the visual segment. Let us publish a report to the Power BI service. Now let me show you how we can publish the report to the Power BI service. So I have given you a glance of the Power BI service in my previous session when I was working with a live stream data. So again today, so this is now that as I've discussed in my initial sessions, there are two things that we need to work on, need to take care while working in Power BI desktop. First, to create; second, to publish; third, to share. So we are done with the creation part. We have used the Power BI desktop for creating the visuals. We have used the Power BI desktop for doing the calculations, for doing the data management, transforming, adding values, all wear and tear on the data set that we have worked with. Now the creation part is over. The next is the publishing part. Now before you publish, two things we need to keep in your mind. First, you need to save your data. So .pbix format is the default file format that we use for saving our data. Second, you need to have a business or organizational email ID to access the Power BI service. I have already guided you how we can get an organizational ID. A lot of people have created and they started using that particular ID. Now let me show you how we can publish this particular report to the Power BI service. That is the final, what I can say, place where where we need to showcase our report to the end user. So this is so we are done with the creation part. Now let me publish it. Now, in order to publish a report, the first thing you can see that in the home menu, there is an option called publish. This option. So if you hover your mouse, you can see there's an option written over here, share. So you have to publish, you can publish this report in the Power BI service. So once you click on this report, publish option, I'll be asked to save my work. So you don't need to be worried that if you don't save your work, it could get lost, nothing like that. So you can click on this save option. And in the desktop, let me save this particular report in my desktop. And let me name this report as sales analysis. Now, the moment I save my report, it will be automatically get published and I'll be redirected to my internet browser where I can view my report in the Power BI service. Now, a few things that you need to take care of. If you're not logged into your Power BI service, you'll be asked to sign in again. If you're not logged into your Power BI desktop with an organizational business ID, you will be asked to sign in if you click on publish. So there will be a pop-up window where you need to provide your official mail ID, and then you will be automatically redirected to the Power BI service. As you can see in my screen, I have got a pop-up window, and if you remember in my first discussion, I told you that everything in Power BI service get published to a workspace. Now, a workspace is a dedicated workspace for you that you can use for playing around your report that you have published in the Power BI service. So let me first publish it and then I can show you. So whatever you publish in Power BI service, it will be published in the workspace only. So you can see the workspace has been selected over here. So click on the select button and here we go. Our report will be published in the Power BI service. You can see in the pop-up window, it is showing publishing sales analysis.pbix to Power BI. And I've got a success message over here, and you can also see that the report name has been shown in this pop-up window. Now either you can close this particular window and log into a Power BI service to see your report, or you can directly click on this particular link. There is a link will be created where it will be written as open your report name. In this case, this is sales analysis in Power BI. So I click on this particular link and I will be automatically will be navigated to the browser on where the Power BI service will be clearly visible, and I can see my report over there. Excuse me. Now, this is the Power BI service. So it's asking me to sign in. So as I have an official mail ID, I'll click on sign in. So I'll be using my official mail ID, that is amitbose at in.ineuron.ai. So I click on this and I'll be asked to supply my credentials. So I was not logged in. So I need to provide my credentials. So the same way you'll get all these options over here. You need to provide your login credentials over here. So let me provide my login credentials. Click on sign in. So you can see we are able to view the Power BI service. It will be the reports will be the report will be populated over here. So just need to wait. That report is getting published. And here we go. This is the first interface and the first point of what you can see, where we can see all the reports that you have created using the desktop. Power BI desktop is getting populated over here in the Power BI service. So this is your first screen. So this particular, there are certain options that you need to keep in mind. So you can see whatever things that you have worked in the Power BI desktop, like the dashboard 2, the dashboard 3. So dashboard 2, you can click on this dashboard over here. So all the pages of the report as we have worked with has been published over here. So you can see all the maps that we have worked, the custom visuals that we have downloaded from the marketplace, they all will be, we can view all the custom visuals that you have worked with over here. Now, there are few things that you need to understand in Power BI service. What are the few things? Everything that you publish in Power BI, you can see in the left hand side upper corner, everything's get published under the My Workspace option. So My Workspace is the point to start where you can find all the visuals that you have created, all the reports. Now let me show you. If I come down over here in the right hand side, in the My Workspace, if you click in this arrow, you can see the options like dashboard, reports, workbook, data sets. So the data set that I'm using for this particular, if I click on the sales analysis option over here, the data set that I'm using for this particular, we can see the data set over here. The table that I have used for this particular report. Now the report over here, you can see by default the dashboard option, we don't have any dashboard. Now this is a very interesting thing. Before that, let me show you the report area. If I click on the report area, the particular report that we have created, that is sales analysis, we can see this report over here. Now you can create your own dashboard from this particular report. How? Let me show you that how we can create our own. You can have your own customized dashboard in Power BI service. Suppose you want to create a dashboard using some visuals from this particular dashboard 2, some from dashboard 3, and some from the custom visuals page. How can you do that? So let me start with the dashboard 2. And if you click on dashboard 2, if you select any of the visual, suppose I have selected this scatter plot. The moment I select this visual, you can see there are symbols below it. A filter symbol, a copy symbol, and a pin symbol. If you click on this pin symbol, the moment you click, you will be asked to pin this particular report to a dashboard. Now you have an option, either you have an existing dashboard or you have a new dashboard. So let me create a new dashboard because my Power BI service doesn't have any dashboard in it. So what we can do, we can give a dashboard name. Let me name this as sales dashboard. And we can pin this report over here. Now we can see there's a sales dashboard. This area, the area under the dashboard has been updated with a new dashboard called sales dashboard. Now you will have an option to go back to the dashboard, but now first let me create some more, let me add some more visuals to my dashboard. Now I have added this particular visual. So let me go to the dashboard 3 and add one more visual from here also.
Sorry to interrupt you. Hello Amit, am I audible?
Yes, Sudhanshu.
Yeah, Amit, sorry to interrupt. So I think like we are running out of time, right? So we can take a couple of questions from
Oh,
Q&A.
okay. I didn't saw the clock.
Guys,
Sorry. Yeah.
so yeah, so we can discuss this because I think this is going to take some time, right?
Yeah.
And we'll try to show them end to end all those Power BI services in the next class, probably end to end everything and all the other features into a Power BI service,
Sure.
how they can connect with the real-time data set and everything. And they have some question, they have raised some question into a Q&A, so I think we can take those questions from Q&A and we can answer. And guys, those who have joined over here in Zoom and through YouTube, so not to worry about anything. So if you have any kind of a query, you can ping us over support. Otherwise, so anyhow, at the end of this Power BI session, so we are going to like give you end-to-end doubt clearing session as well. That will be a live doubt clearing session, so you can try to practice it from your end, and then you can bring all the doubts in that particular doubt clearing session. So that will be a live. You can share your screen. If you are facing any kind of issue, we'll try to resolve it then and there. If we are not able to resolve it over a Skype, so we'll try to close all those things into through a support itself, but still.
Yes.
So we'll plan for like a live doubt clearing session as well before starting up with the Tableau. So once we'll close this Power BI, then only we'll start with the Tableau dashboard. So fine, Amit, I think you can go ahead and take some questions from Q&A.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So, okay. So can I read out the questions loudly? I can answer them, right?
Yes, yeah. From maybe from
Sure.
the last, you can start taking up the question, right? So
Okay,
from the last part.
Fine. So when I tried to, it's a question from Reshma. So when I tried to import a custom visualization, it will ask to sign into Power BI. What should I do? Yeah, Reshma, as I told you, so you can just need to have an organizational mail ID or a business ID. So that you can just log in. So I have uploaded a document in the dashboard. So where you will be guided to create how you can create some organizational mail ID, and you can use that ID for using Power BI desktop to sign in and to publish your report. However, at this particular basic level of Power BI, which are working with, there are some limitations in the Power BI service, which I will discuss in the future sessions. Now, the next question is from Priya. Suppose I have 20. I am having 20, whether it's sure. I'm not getting this question. Next, total area. So group will show you the categories of data that you are using in the, for Tushar, it is, sir, when we go to the field of tree map visuals, what is the difference between group and details? This question is, so details which actually shows you the, for example, if you're using a profit value in the value section, if you bring the sales to the detail part, it will give you the details apart from profit. And the group section will be using for displaying the product subcategory, which group we are using to creating the tree map. Yes, Simran, custom visuals are stable in, so Power BI has a very strong collections and a very big collection of custom visuals, which we can use for use. We can use those visuals normally like a normal visual that are available in the visualization pan. So custom visual, so Power BI has the main area for which Power BI is getting more and more edge over the other BI tool is because of the huge collections of custom visuals that it is actually Power BI have in the marketplace. So Bhushan Kapar, in the case of the data is getting refreshed, do we need to publish again? No, as I mentioned that we can refresh the data in the Power BI service also. I will talk about how we can refresh, how we can schedule a refresh in Power BI service. Don't worry. So there are options we can use in Power BI service. How can I create organizational ID? Bharat, the document is already been uploaded in the dashboard. You can just check out that document. There's a PDF document. You can follow the steps clearly defined over there. You can just use this document and you can just create organization ID. Manish, I hope you've got your answer. Uma, will it ask for server details while publishing or only login credentials? It's only the login credentials that you use for logging into Power BI Service Map, Uma. So you can just provide your official mail ID or a business mail ID. You can just log into the Power BI service. However, if you're trying to connect with some data source which have some organizational credentials, yeah, in that case, we need to have a credentials for that. What if we don't have a, so Gautam, if you don't have an organizational ID, unfortunately you can just use the desktop for free, but you cannot publish your report, you cannot share it to the next level. No, Sangeet, there is no other way that you have to provide an organizational mail ID for publishing a report. You can create a Power BI account first, and because we need to access the service from your, so there's a question, can we create an account in Power BI services with a dummy organization and name? The thing is that, as I mentioned you, the process is defined in a way like, first you have to create the report, then you have to publish it, right? So while creating a report of your choice, and then you can just go to the publish option, and from there you can just publish it to the Power BI service. That is the best way you can do. However, yeah, you can directly access your Power BI service and you can just play around with the reports over there, whatever reports are there over here. There is no issue in that. Yes, Rajendra, you can refresh your data after publishing it. There's an option. I will show you that. Don't worry. You don't have to, Debashri, you don't have to download the Power BI service. Once you click on publish, you will be automatically redirected to the Power BI services. I can see customer age is not available in the file shared. Oh my God, let me check. I'm not sure about that. It should be there, obviously. If not there, I will upload it. Don't worry. How can I get a Power BI account? Whenever I try creating, it gives me a message, enter your work email. I guess, Aryan, you have got your answer. Narendra, hi sir. Will there be any standard template given by the business team so to select the particular visuals, or it has to be decided by the visual analyst on their own? Narendra, that is a very good question. Yes, some of the business organization have their standard reporting format. So you need to follow those rules very strictly, because they have a very hard, so I have worked on certain domains like dashboard compliance. The dashboard compliance is a very important topic in BI field. So a lot of organization work very strictly on dashboard compliance. So you need to have a strict, they have their own custom template. Like many of the banks, I have seen a lot of my in references where they have a very strict dashboard compliance under which they have their own sets of dashboard template, and you can just need to follow those things. However, if you're working as an individual contributor in any organization where you are the person who will be taking all the decisions in terms of reporting and creating your data model and all, yes, obviously you can establish your own dashboard compliance. You can just initiate that process. You can bring some new dashboard visuals which suits your business scenarios, and it gives the correct answer. So that is a very good question. Yes, a lot of organization I know, they have a very strict dashboard compliance. They have the standard reporting template.
Yeah, Amit, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, Sudhanshu,
Yeah,
tell me.
Amit. So I think we can close the session for today, right? And yes, guys. So I think we have extended the session for like a couple of minutes. So it's completely fine. No need to worry about anything. If you are not able to ask your question, or maybe we have not answered your question, so it's completely fine. There will be a live session we are going to conduct probably by next week. So when we'll try to conclude a Power BI discussion, and at that point of a time, so yes, you can try to ask any number of a
Sure,
question that you
definitely.
have.
Yeah.
And yes, by that time, so make sure that whatever we have covered so far so forth, try to practice it by yourself. And after practicing, so if you are able to get any kind of a doubt from a very first session till last, So you will be able to ask all of those questions. There is no restriction that we are going to put in that particular section. So fine, guys. Thank you so much for joining the session, and have a great night and day ahead.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
guys.
much. Thanks,
Thank you
Amit.
so much. Thanks, Sudhanshu.